What's bonking, guys? Today I am telling you guys about some stand concepts that I came up with. I have 7 of them. I'm going to try and fit them all in this video, but I'll let you guys know if I'm not able to. And basically, they're all music, you know, as JoJo does, and they're all songs. I didn't do albums or artists. And I specifically picked songs that came out before the year 2011. And the reason for that is because, to my knowledge, as far as I know, the newest musical reference Rocky uses is the album Born This Way by Lady Gaga. There's a stand named Born This Way in JoJolion, I think it is. But yeah, so I tried to make stands that are older than that. I have one stand, though, that did come out. I have one song that did come out in 2012, but I figured it's not a big deal. It's just off by a year. And these are all songs that I really like, so yeah, I definitely recommend listening to all of the songs that I mentioned. I'll, get into those later. But yeah, I figure I just picked songs that I like and that I think would make cool abilities and that I felt met the criteria. Also, I did not design any of these stands. Some of them I do have like ideas in mind and I will explain those to you guys, but I'm not an artist and I was struggling to envision some of these, so I didn't even try. But if you guys want to conceptualize or like give me ideas, I'm all for it. Leave them down in the comments and I will be more than happy to read them. So yeah, now I'll get into my first one. My first stand is called Stories of Old. And Stories of Old is one of my favorite songs of all time. Right now I would say it's tied for my favorite song. And it is by Depeche Mode, which is another one of my favorite artists. They're in my top 5. I would say they're my second favorite artist, but if you ask me who my favorite is, I would probably say Depeche Mode, just for simplicity's sake. I love their music. It sounds so good, and yeah, it's just really good. But also, I figured Depeche Mode just made a lot of sense for a JoJo stand. Their name literally means fashion update in French, and honestly, I don't know why Rocky has not made a stand of them yet. He's used music similar to them, like the Pet Shop Boys. That's one that immediately comes to mind, because Depeche Mode is like synth pop. So, I just thought it would make a lot of sense. But also, if you look at some of the, like some pictures of them, there's like a band photo, and Martin Gore literally is Narancia. Like, he's dressed in this like strange leather getup that Narancia would totally wear. And I just thought, yeah, like it would be very fitting. Plus, I love Depeche Mode, so yeah, the first stand is called Stories of Old. And I came up with 2 alternate designs, 2 alternate abilities. I'll explain them both to you. So the first one that I came up with is basically immunity to forgetting things. So basically the user will remember everything that has ever happened to them. So, let's say they're at like Thanksgiving and they encounter that family member who is talking about, changing their diaper or wiping their ass when they were a baby. Well, now they're going to remember that. Let's say you're, walking down Colfax or something at 3 a.m., which you should not do, and you get ganked and mugged and, they steal your shit. And then the police are all like, hey, what happened? And then you can remember, like, the person's description. So you could, like, write that shit down, and then, yeah, you're all good. Or, let's say, like, you walk into a room and you can no longer forget why you walked into that room. You will always remember. So I thought that would be pretty cool. And then I also figured you could probably use the ability on other people. So, like, let's say, maybe you're still in high school. If you are, like, going through a test, and let's say your friend just doesn't remember, like, they didn't study or whatever, and, your friend's tweaking. They don't remember the answers, and they're fucked if they do not pass this test. And so maybe you got to help them out. Like, either you would, like, tap them on the shoulder. I would definitely make it be, like, contact based. So like you tap them on the shoulder and either they remember or the memory is like transmitted into your brain and then you have to like recite it to them. I'm not sure exactly which one, but I figure either one would work. So that would be pretty cool. And then the other ability that I had in mind was literally manipulating the stories of old, the events that have already occurred. So let's say you really miss the dinosaurs and so you just make it so they never went extinct. That would be pretty crazy. Or let's say, you have trauma because your father left when you were little. So you go back in time, you make it so your parents never split, and your father's still with you. That'd be pretty cool. Like you could do different things. So like maybe you fumbled that 10 out of 10 femboy, so you just go back in time so you never fumbled it. Like you could do different things like that. And yeah, that's, really like it ability wise. I'm not sure exactly which one I'd go for. I think the second one is way more overpowered, but I think it's also more literal to the name. And design wise, I don't have any designs in mind. I figured it'd probably be a blank, like it just wouldn't have an appearance. Think of like Bohemian Rhapsody, because Bohemian Rhapsody does not have an appearance. It manifests things, but it does not have an appearance. Or Heaven's Door in the beginning of part 4 does not have an appearance either. So think kind of like that. There are other stands too, but those are the ones that come to mind. So I figured it'd be kind of like that. But if you guys have any ideas, let me know down in the comments. And, I would love to hear your ideas. If you guys want to conceptualize that, I'm all down to hear it. So, yeah. And then I figured for its stats, its power would be an E because it's not going to do anything. It just manipulates memory. It cannot throw punches. It doesn't even have a physical form. Speed, same thing. It's just an E. It can't do anything. Range is an E because it requires physical contact, or it just works on the user itself for the first ability. The second ability would have an S because it manipulates all of time. So that's an insane range. And then stamina or defense is what most people call it, but I've heard Araki call it staying power, which I think sounds kind of stupid, so I just made it stamina. Basically, the stamina is an S, and that just means it doesn't expend any power. So just you're constantly remembering, and it's not going to hurt you or fatigue you at all. And using on other people would probably expend some energy, but it wouldn't be anything too crazy. And then if you were to use this on, like let's say we go with the second ability, it would definitely expend a lot of energy because you are changing time itself. That would be very tiring. Precision's an S because you remember every ability, because you remember everything, and so does your friend. I think with your friend, it would either be you can only activate select memories, or you can activate all memories, but only for a short period of time. I'm not sure exactly which one. And the potential would be a C, because I was thinking you could go with the first ability, and then maybe it has to evolve. So maybe the Requiem is what lets you change all of history. I'm not fully sure yet. I just kind of came up with that. And yeah, I think this would be a pretty cool stand. As I mentioned, it can't fight, but you can alter your opponent's memories. So let's say, your opponent is about to kill you. You could just punch them, with your own fist, and you can alter their memories. So let's say, assuming I go with the second one, you alter the course of events so their father left them. And then now all of a sudden they're really sad about that. Or, maybe you just remind them of some things. Maybe they remember something nice that their grandpa told them, and they decide that they don't want to fight you anymore, or they remember some kind act or something. I think it'd be very versatile. And yeah, so that's Stories of Old. My second stand is called Stop to Give Up, which is actually named after my favorite song by Eurofunk. And basically this stand, it works like Survivor, but it's through positive emotion instead. If you've seen One Piece, think of Bella Betty's Devil Fruit, where she can strengthen and riot other people, basically, rile them up. That's kind of how this works. It's intense motivation, if you will, like a strong desire to accomplish something will activate this ability. And basically, I was thinking it would allow you to use 200% of your body strength, but I don't know. I mean, that amount could be worked on. It could be increased or lowered. I'm not fully sure, but I figured that the amount of pain you'll feel, because it's basically adrenaline, but it's controllable. So you are in control. You don't go into a blind rage or anything. You're you just get the strength with none of the mental drawbacks, but you will come off of the high, if that makes sense. You get kind of a quote unquote hangover, if you will. So let's say you just want to bench 200. Let's say you're like me, you're pretty small, you bench 155 pounds, and you want to bench 200. That might sound like a lot, that's a 50-pound jump, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a huge jump. So, that'll hurt you, but you'll get over it after a few days or so. But if it's you want the strength to punch through fucking diamond, that is going to take a larger toll on you. But I figured it would also depend on your motivation. So let's say you're like me and you left the baddie granny back at your crib, and let's say you're getting your ass kicked in this battle, and you remember that you got to get it back to that bad granny, and so then you're given the strength to get up and to keep fighting so that you can make it back home. You know, that, I mean, I think that's a pretty noble cause. So, you know, you might feel a lot of pain, but like your actual damage would be much like more, like much less. It'd be minimized. But let's say like, I don't know, you want to fucking, I don't know, like steal from someone maybe. Like you, I don't know, maybe there's like this like really strong guy that like you saw like spreading a bunch of money or something. And you want like the strength to kick his ass and take his money. Like I'm just coming up with random things here. That's not a very noble cause. So, you know, sure you get the strength and you take the money, but once it hits, like it's gonna hurt and it might do some long-term damage. You know, depending on how much strength you're trying to get. So I figured that'd be pretty cool. And then I also figured that it would work on other people. So you can like buff your allies. So, you know, that's why I said it's kind of like Survivor. Like, let's say you've got, I don't know, like maybe you're like playing a sport or something. You could like buff up your allies and they all get that strength. I mean, that's unfair, but you know, forget about, you know, like moral stuff aside, you could do that. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And I figured that design wise, it would be kind of like Star Platinum. Like you'd have like a big, like burly, you know, like shredded physique. And I also figured he would have a pickaxe. It'd be a diamond pickaxe as a callback to that meme. I'm sure you guys have seen it, where, you know, it'll be like 99% of quitters, like quit before their big win. Oh, sorry. 99% of gamblers quit before their big win, or like whatever. So I figured it'd be a reference to that, where it's like you aren't giving up. You are continuing, and that is why you are getting this diamond pickaxe now for your stand. And then I thought it'd be really cool if when you used the ability on yourself, if the stand like assimilated into your body. So you wore it like armor. Think of kind of like an Iron Man suit. Like it like opened up, or realistically it'd probably just like phase into you, and then like you become one with the stand. And so it would give you stand properties as well. So you could go like you know, pound for pound with Star Platinum, for example. You know, like you are the stand and you're just like fighting him with your own fists. I thought that'd be pretty cool. And then, you know, like you could have intangibility, so you could like go through a wall or something, because you would at that point be the stand. Yeah, so I thought that'd be pretty cool. And then for stats, so this is just like at base, without determination, and like your intentions aren't exactly noble, but they're not like evil either. I figured for a power B, you know, like your power would definitely be able to be improved the stronger you get. Speed would also be a B. Like, you know, it's pretty good. It's nothing crazy, but of course it can be higher if you have more determination. And then I figured range would be a B, because, you know, like it mostly works on you, but you can also buff a small amount of allies. And then I figured stamina would be an S, because as long as you're determined, as long as you have that goal in mind, you will consistently maintain the power up. It won't wear off. But if you start to falter, maybe you're wondering like, is this really the right thing? Is this really what I want? It could end up weakening the ability. And then, you know, if you use it on more people, it will also tire you out more, but it won't be like damaged. Like you won't, like it's not going to break your arm if you use it on other people, but it might tire you and put you in more pain once it's done. And then for precision is an S, because it helps exactly who you want it to. And, you know, it's like pretty good at, you know, it's like Star Platinum basically. And then potential, I gave it an S, because it's, you know, really only limited by your own strength. If you're consistently training and making yourself stronger, then your stand will be capable of more. My next stand is called How Many Times. This is a song by ICP, one of my favorite songs. I love the song. I love ICP a lot. Like, they're one of my favorite artists ever. This isn't my favorite song by them. I should mention all of the songs I've picked are my favorite song by this specific artist, except this song. This is like top 5 from the artist. My favorite song from ICP is called The Net Game. I seriously recommend you guys listen to it. Just do know that song is very vulgar. Like, the lyrics are insane, but it's really funny, and I just think it has a good sound. But yeah, basically, How Many Times gets rid of little nuisances. You know, that's the idea behind it. So no more stubbing your toe, you know, no more forgetting your wallet. For example, like if you go out and you're like, oh, you know, I want to buy this. But I figured larger events, such as like a family member passing, would not be affected, at least at base. Maybe there could be room for that to improve later. But, you know, unfortunately, your grandma might still fall down the stairs and die. There's no avoiding that. But, you know, you forgetting something is something that definitely could be changed. For power, I gave it an E because, again, it's not doing anything. Speed, same thing, an E. And range, an E, because it only works on yourself. So I guess it kind of depends. Technically, range could be a little further because it's like the things around you. So I don't know. But I'm not really sure. I just kind of gave it an E because I thought that made sense. But I think this one could be kind of argued a little bit. For stamina, I gave it an S because same thing. It's always working. You don't have to like turn it off and recharge it or anything. You're just always immune to bad luck, or at least like small amounts of it. Precision's an S because it protects you perfectly from everything you need it to, at least all the like minor things. And for potential, I gave it a B because, as I said, I might like it might be capable of defending you from more, but I'm not fully sure. That's just kind of an idea I had, so I threw it out there. Well, that's all for today's video. I decided to cut it off there because it ended up being like 16 minutes, and I just didn't really see a point in making a video any longer. So yeah, that's it. You know, just these 3 stands: Stories of Old, Stop to Give Up, and How Many Times. Those are 3 of my favorite songs for sure, you know, as I mentioned. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys liked the abilities. You know, let me know if you have any design ideas. I do have, as I said, I have 4 more stands in mind, so those will make it into the next video. And then after that, I am definitely I'm definitely open to coming up with more. So let me know if you guys are liking this. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.